Thanks for taking some time.
Are you kidding? Thank you for making the time. I'm so excited. Yeah. I have full-on cred with my kids now. They didn't care what I did before this, but they're good now.
Yeah, you got bragging rights.
I do.
Yeah, cool.
I think for life.
Cool mom award.
So that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
I represent Regent Park and Moss Park. So I'm the Member of Parliament for Toronto Centre.
Wow.
And I have downtown Toronto. So a lot of the kids in St. Jamestown and Esplanade and Regent and Moss, that's my area.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You got your hands full.
I have my hands full. And then I'm now also the Minister for Women, but also youth. So youth is part of my portfolio. So it's great.
Well, you're going to do a great job.
Thank you.
Great. Now, the word on the street is that you and your father are longtime Raptors fans. I would like to know, what role did sports play in your early life growing up?
My dad and I have always bonded through sports. So I was the kid that went with my dad to football games and baseball games, and then basketball came to town, right? And I still remember, where we said, listen, this is gonna be our thing. So for my dad and I, it was our date night. Our date nights a couple times a week, getting on the subway and attending Raptors games. It's been, 22, 23 years since we've had seasons tickets. And it's been our time to share, but also bond. Like, we're OG Raptors fans. So we've been from the beginning. So through the hardships, through it all, we stood side by side. But, through that, it's been on a personal side, the time I spent with my dad, but sports personally, with regards to growing up, I mean, it was team. It's where I made some of my best friends. I did track through high school, so that was my sport. But it's, where we bonded. It's where I learned a lot of life lessons. Right. It's where I really first discovered work ethic, right? And what it means to wake up at a certain time in the morning because there's a practice, or stay later because there's a practice, and still get my work done. Because my parents were also very strict about that, and if I didn't keep my marks up, all of the other stuff went.
Now, there have only been 2 black female federal cabinet ministers.
That's true. Jean Augustine was the first.
And you're the second.
I'm the second.
So how important is that representation to you?
It's so important, Fred. It's the reason I ran. I literally was minding my own business as a journalist. I was fine and happy in my career and minding my own business, although there was something in me where I felt maybe I needed to start using my microphone a little differently. I just felt I wanted to serve more. There's some things going on. But when the opportunity came to run, it's the reason I ran, because I thought, if we're gonna change the system, we have to be part of the system. And that's how you're part of the system. To have my voice at the cabinet table, my lived experiences. I share my experiences about growing up in Scarborough, about things that I've seen, about young people and what we need to do to get them early to make sure that they can set goals and meet those goals. That's everything. Because that perspective, that lived experience, means that we're truly being inclusive. The other part of this is that I may be the second, but I can't be the last. Right. So this is about, hey, showing people it's possible to be next. In fact, I'm always looking and say, who's next? Exactly. Who can I mentor? What can I do? That representation is everything.
Yes, I agree. That's congratulations.
Thank you.
It's special. It definitely means a lot. And me having a young daughter now, I look at everything differently. It's changed my life, from the moment she was born. As you first-time parents know, first time having a child, it changes your whole life. But also now I got to raise her, right? I got to teach her. I got to try to guide her along the way. What I see is, as much influence as I have at home, she still has a whole nother world that she has to go out and experience, whether she's going to school or family, friends, or otherwise. So just, the media that they kind of consume and different things like that, I've noticed, how much having the representation matters, for it. I know how to raise a son or a boy because I did that, but, having a daughter, that's a different challenge. So it's just changed me, but it makes me learn. It makes me more empathetic. It makes me have to go out and do the work to kind of change my worldview and accept, some of the things that's been going on. So I just wanted to give you credit for that. Also, I know in your job title is gender equity, right?
Yeah, gender equity and equality.
And equality. So what does that exactly mean to you?
It means open doors for everybody. So open doors with regards to resources, with regards to opportunities, no matter your gender, like equal. So whether it's pay and pay equity, opportunities, I think of sport, right? And you look at the NBA, you look at the WNBA, that's not equal, right? So that's what it means, and it means striving towards that.
I just had an opportunity to do a scholarship, and I've heard that you've done the same. So to talk to me a little bit about carving out that space in the education world as well, and how that came about and what that means to you, how important is that?
First and foremost, congratulations on launching your scholarship, because that's so, so important, Fred. So you asked about my dad a little earlier. What I didn't tell you was my dad is a retired educator. And so if I wasn't doing this job and the job before, I would have been a teacher, hands down. So education is really important to me. And my dad modeled a certain type of educator. I don't know, you're pretty young, so I don't know if you remember the movie Lean On Me. Do you remember that movie? Okay. My dad was Mr. Clark. My dad, his schools were mostly in the West End of Toronto, and so there were a lot of elements, right? And he saw them as elements trying to get his kids. He wouldn't lose his kids to the streets, all of this stuff. So he stood up to a lot of people, worried about them a lot, but he did, and he was like that. It was tough love, but he loved. And there are still young people that stop me, whether I'm on the subway or in the street or wherever, and say, hey, your dad taught me, tell him that I made it, tell him that he made a difference. And that means a lot. So in honor of my dad, and really to help the kids who just need a chance, and often that's what it is, that's the reason why I started a scholarship.
Congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
Now for me, my next goal is to win another championship.
Nothing small about that.
Yeah, you know, just small things.
Okay, do you mean this year?
I mean, every year.
Every year. I love you so much.
You gotta put it on the board.
I love that you said that.
You gotta put it on the board.
Is it on your vision board?
Every day. It's at
Really?
the top.
I love
so
that.
I do journals, vision boards,
You
all
do?
of that. Yeah, all of that. So if I shared what my goals were with people, they would probably think I was crazy.
Okay. So, not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Can you maybe share one or two?
Well, I put championship on there.
Okay, and that's number one.
That's number one.
Okay.
I put all-star on there. I put.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
So proud of you.
I put,
Cheering in my living room.
basketball-wise, I put all-star, MVP, championship, all of those things. And then, there's personal goals, right? Be a better father, better partner, better son. There's financial goals. So there's a lot of things that I want to do. I'm a very ambitious person, but I would like to know what's next for you.
Professionally, I want to do this job well. I want to do it well. I do feel that I'm here for a reason. I want to represent women well. And we're not one big homogenous group. So when I say women, I want to look at that through an intersectional lens. And that means racialized women and indigenous women and women with disabilities. I want to represent well. And then the other part of my portfolio is the LGBTQ2S community, another marginalized community. And young people, youth, I want to make sure that I do what they need, that I'm there. It's a big job. I have a really good team, but we've got our work cut out. I basically represent all the marginalized groups in our country. I do. And everybody that's been disproportionately impacted by this pandemic, that's who I represent. So there's a lot of work to do, but I want to know at the end of the day, they know I had their backs and I served them well. That means the most to me. On a personal note, I somehow, and I have to tell you, Fred, I threw the word balance out the door a long time ago because it was just far too much pressure, right? Because people are like, how do you balance home and work? Like, I just can't. So when I'm with you, and I'm all in, and that's what I'm doing. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's the only way to do it. You gotta, as passionate as I am personally, I can only focus on things when I'm present and when I'm there, and I gotta be all in. And I think the balance comes from having a support team and the right support system around you so they can kind of balance you as you go. So everybody thinks that like I have to balance everything, but I have a lot of people who I love who support me that are balancing me as well at the same time. So it kind of goes both ways for sure.
You talked about being a dad of a son, of course, but of a daughter, and how that's a little different. You know, it's interesting because I thought, I've got a girl, she's 16, and I have a boy that's 10, and we were an all-girl family before he was born.
Wow.
And when I found out I was having a son, I cried. I cried for, I thought, how am I gonna do, I'm having a black boy.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? So maybe some of the feelings you're having now, right? Like with your girl, like the research, and how you're an ally as a girl dad.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's been fun. It's funny because I never even imagined having a daughter. Like my whole life, I just knew I was gonna have all boys and it was gonna be easy. And I knew my first son was gonna be a junior, and I had all this mapped out.
You had all the plans.
And then once we figured out it was a girl, it took me 30 seconds to, wrap my mind around it. And, my wife gives me crap because she says that I show favoritism to my daughter all the time. So she's become my favorite child. I won't tell my son that, but it's been a lot of fun and a challenge, as a young parent and busy as I am to, like you said, balance everything. But it's been incredible, and I'm looking forward to keep, being there for her and my son as well, but my daughter for sure, for the rest of her.
If I were to ask you who taught you your most valuable life lesson, who would that be, and what would the lesson be?
Man, that's a good question. I would have to say my mom, and my mom taught me my most valuable lesson. It wasn't really direct preaching, it was just more so, I told this story before, like my mom never told me no, and she never stepped on anything that I ever wanted to do. So any dream or goal or idea that I had, if it was something that was a little out of touch, she would try to reel me back in and maybe give me a better way to do it. But when I was, 7, 8 years old and I told my mom I wanted to be in the NBA, she didn't say, no, you can't do that, or here's the statistics on the chances of you making it. She said, okay.
That's where Bet on Yourself came from.
That's where Bet on Yourself comes from. She just said, okay. She was all in, and she supported everything that I ever wanted to do, and she sacrificed her personal life for me and my brothers, and my parents, they sacrificed their personal lives and their fun and freedom, so they supported us and what we wanted to do, and that was sports. And we were able to make something out of nothing.
Make a lot out of
nothing.
Make a lot out of nothing, sir.
Yes.
It's been such a pleasure to be with you. Is there anything else you want to know about me? I am an open book.
I asked you about what you wanted to do next. I think the more specific question I wanted to know is like, do you have a measuring stick? Like what's on your agenda that you have to get done within the next 6 to 12 months? Give me one thing that you have to get done, and we'll put it out there and then we'll get it done. Okay.
So gender-based violence, all right? Serious. A lot of intimate partner violence, that has gone up with regards to women in this pandemic. So putting together a national action plan and meeting with all of my provincial and territorial counterparts to put together something that will help decrease that across this country. I want that done sooner rather than later. I'm hoping to have a framework done by the fall. So that's that. An LGBTQ2S action plan that focuses on intersectionality as well. So racialized and indigenous LGBTQ2 communities. That's huge. So those two things, as far as professionally and politically, are definitely on the agenda.
Well, you got my help, so just call me when you're ready.
Thank you. Oh boy.
Let's do it.
Okay, Fred, you just said something big there, because I'll be calling you too much. You're going, I shouldn't have said this to this woman.
Hey, let's do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thanks.